So today I'm flashing back to the year 2019. And this is actually the year I got married. And when I look back then, I had just graduated around maybe 3 years before that with my law degree, and I had gone to Dubai and I worked with a very well-known company in Sharjah with their in-house legal team. Phenomenal experience, wouldn't have traded it for the world. But I think I always knew even back then that the marginal utility of Danya would reach to a peak because I wasn't really doing what deep down I felt I loved so much. And obviously moving from law into anything else, like in the field of the arts, like the arts and fashion, is, in the eyes of a lot of people, it's almost like you're going downhill, because I spent so many years focusing on this degree. The least I could do is, do something out of it or make something out of it. But I think what helped at the time was because 3 years down the line from when I graduated, I met my husband, I got married, and then I moved back to London. Now, in London, that was when I decided I'm actually going to have a fresh start and I'm going to do something I love. Now, of course, it wasn't straightforward, I was in London and I decided I still needed to discover or to give it a go, basically, and figure out whether I was really going to commit myself to, the world of fashion and what I loved very much. So I experimented a little. I applied for all kinds of jobs, just to see whether if I got a job, it would excite me in any way and kind of like divert me. And the funniest part of this whole story is that I ended up getting an interview with Bloomberg, which at the time was a company I knew so little about. For me, Bloomberg was about the TV channel. It was about financials. It was more economic scene. It was more that kind of atmosphere. It was less the typical type of law firm or company that I would be used to, like an investment bank, etc. It was a totally new area for me, had nothing to do with my background. But actually, I think the reason why they gave me the job was because during the interview, they realized that I spoke 2 languages, which was important for them. I had Arabic, I had English, plus I had the advantage of being a Dubai-based I had a Dubai connection, which could serve their purposes in the future. But more importantly, because throughout the interview, I remember I stressed with a lot of importance the issue of interacting with people, which for me was so key to anything I was going to do later on. I didn't want to be stuck in an office. I wanted to actually interact with people. I wanted I thought I was going to end up being in the Bloomberg television part of things. That's the funny part of the story. I didn't know why I was thinking in that way in those days, but all I know is that there is this very adventure-seeking person in me, the risk-taker, that actually will put herself out there and say, okay, I'm up for it. So they gave me the job, and this was the funniest part of it all, and I started. Now, I remember in the first 2 weeks where I was commuting to Bloomberg every day, getting up at 5 in the morning, taking the underground, going all the way to the city, clocking in at 7:30. It was, at the beginning, I felt that, wow, I was overwhelmed by the building. This is going to be an exciting experience and new people, new environment. But it really wasn't that way for me, because First of all, I had no background whatsoever with the whole Bloomberg system. I had absolutely no background when it comes to finance. And I realized that in the first year, they actually prepare you for all of that. So actually, what you're doing is you're back to being a student at the beginning. And you have to attend all the courses that they set out for you. You have to learn about the system. They give you books this big, which you are going to be examined after 30 days. It felt like I was going back to university to actually engage in something I didn't love. And that's when I realized that this just wasn't for me. And I stayed there for a month, and then I resigned. I know, crazy, but I did. I mean, this would have been an opportunity and a job which a lot of people would have loved, but it just wasn't for me. And this is something extremely important, that the message there, because you could be very qualified in a field, but if you really, really don't feel that this is where you see yourself, then this is just a job for the sake of a job, you know? And you will be waking up every single day for God knows how long, unmotivated, and not really utilizing the maximum of who you are. And for me, I mean, this X's a lot of boxes, you know? I mean, it's like a no, no, no. You know, I have to be happy. I have to be motivated. I have to love what I'm doing. I have to enjoy it. No matter how simple this thing I want to do is in the eyes of many people, or how unprofessional it might have sounded to a lot of people, it was important enough for me to make a difference for myself. So I left Bloomberg, and that's when I think I understood fully what I wanted to do. And I remember sitting down one night with my husband and saying to him that I felt extremely unfulfilled. And, you know, and his immediate question to me was, what would fulfill you? And I said to him, I needed to try and do something in the world of design, you know, something I love. And I know that I have limitations because I didn't go to university. I didn't study the basics. I don't have so many of the required skills, but I have the passion, the understanding. I have the natural instinct to get it, you know, and this was going to be the tools I was going to work with. Everything else I could find, I could source it out, but I had to start somewhere. So I would say that this was the first starting point for when I decided that this was the path I was going to take.